Greetings, my magnificent ones. Sue Paulson here, your magnificence mentor. Welcome to Magnificent Mondays. As I was exploring in the lab and doing a little research on our upcoming workshop topic on intention, I came across a very lovely video by Wayne Dyer on the power of intentions. He gives 10 powerful keys to go by. So I thought today I'd talk a little bit about the 10th key that he gave. No point starting at the beginning. I kind of like to shoot right to the end and sort of cherry pick my favorites. So this was a favorite of mine. I think it's such an important one. He said, wisdom is not allowing thoughts that weaken you. So let's think about the thoughts that weaken us for a moment. Thoughts of blame, of shame, of guilt, of anger, of fear, of frustration. All of those thoughts are things. They have the ability, especially if we're swamped by them or we're constantly immersed in them, to literally weaken the heart. They've done studies that show that those kinds of thoughts, just the words themselves, have a negative power to them, a negative charge that pulls us down and leaves us feeling less than. I remember when I was a kid and I'd get up all grumpy and my mom would look at me and she'd say, "Did you get up on the wrong side of the bed?" Well, of course, she was hoping after a good night's rest, I was all cheerful and perky and so on. And there were days when I wasn't. So an attitude adjustment was required. And in fact, it was strongly suggested as a kid that I smarten up and change my attitude. So actually, it's good advice. How often when we go through our day do we hear other people looking for things that annoy them, and then they talk about them? It's as if their whole being that day was immersed in looking at things that frustrate them or annoy them. Oh, well, the traffic was bad and there was an accident and I had to wait for an extra 10 minutes, and my coffee was cold when I went to the coffee shop, and on and on and on. And the wait staff were rude, and the lineup was big, and you go, whoa, nice start to your day. No wonder Mondays can be so hard. The silly thing is that if we weren't looking for things to annoy us, and I confess, I do that too. It isn't hard to get immersed in ain't it awful. And it's hard to get out of ain't it awful. So I really want to focus today on having you really pay attention to what you're thinking about all day long. Notice when they're good thoughts, solid thoughts, perky thoughts, and notice how you feel as a result of that. Does it make the work easier that you're doing in the day? Are you able to sail through your day with few problems, a sense of peace, joy, happiness, whatever that is, or contentment of some sort? Or do you find it grinding and awful? Well, sometimes grinding and awful comes from how we set up ourselves for the day, our mindset going into the day. So there's some antidotes, of course, to choosing our thoughts so that they don't weaken us, to getting away from those weakening thoughts. Gratitude is a big one, where I know when I'm feeling out of sorts, I'll almost immediately now fall into, what am I grateful for right in this moment? They can be the smallest things. And as I work through it, it doesn't take me very long, maybe 5 minutes. And I can feel the shift in my brain. I can feel this attitude of comfort rising up. And I don't feel so burdened. I don't feel so weighted down. So next time you catch yourself In thinking thoughts that weaken you, I want you to make the switch in your head and say, okay, maybe this situation is really bad, but maybe it's not. Maybe that extra 10 minutes you stood in line at the coffee shop meant that the traffic cleared and you had an easy sail to the office from there. You don't know what's on up ahead. Maybe it stopped you from being involved in a car crash. Who knows? It could have been something very much for your better, or maybe all of a sudden you came across someone that you'd been wanting to meet up with for a while, and there they were right in front of you. If you hadn't waited that extra 10 minutes, it could be that you would have missed them. So we have no way of knowing when things happen that we label as bad, wrong, awful, horrible, annoying, whatever, what good might come out of it. It's all about mindset. So my magnificent ones, that's your challenge for this week, is to go through your week paying attention to how often you fall into the trap of thoughts that weaken your whole being. And then what do you do to pull yourself out of it? We'll see you next Monday. Have a great week.